Hello, sports lovers. You're welcome to another amazing episode of Mark to Mark. I'm going to be your host, Parley Rose, and I'm here to take you through the week's biggest sports events happening. And with me, I have Mark Namanya on my left and Mark Ssali on my right. Okay, so let's dive into today's menu. We're going straight to the big abroad today. We have Formula One in Kigali. Is run at the New Saudi Arabia. We'll be looking into that. Then we have European football. We'll be looking at Man United. Yes, I know what has been happening. We'll be looking into that. Then we have elsewhere abroad. Is the NBA sinking under the weight of missed 3-pointers? And where does Greg Norman's departure from leave World Golf as well? And then we'll be coming back home with, of course, Mark Namanya taking us through the golf. And the commissioning of Terriet with Mark Ssali. And then I'll give you a piece of wisdom, as usual, and then we get into the betting predictions. Now on to the big abroad. We're looking at Formula One in Kigali. I don't know if, Kigali is tunneling. It's in Saudi Arabia, with these bold glamorous moves. What do you think?
Well, The big bombshell dropped earlier this week. There was an annual the gala, the FIA international gala in Kigali. There was an annual general meeting actually. They have an annual general meeting, so they held that one in Kigali this time, and it was at this one that the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, officially announced that they were going to bid. Rwanda was going to bid to host Formula One. Formula One has not been hosted in Africa since 1993. So this would be this would be the first time it is hosted there, if that bid is successful, that is. There'd been talk about Rwanda and Formula One from much earlier. It had been mentioned everywhere, but this was the official announcement, the one that captured the world's imagination finally. And of course, there's criticism that comes with that for countries like Rwanda, and that has happened before in the past when they've done other sports events that they've been accused of sport washing, which is why we're asking, are they the new Saudi Arabia? They ask Africa's answer to Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia has taken over the world of major sporting events since we've discussed it on here before. How they have the golf, how they've taken the ATP World Finals to Saudi Arabia, the tennis,
boxing,
all the biggest boxing matches in the world are now fought out of Saudi Arabia, not somewhere.
They secured rights for the 2034 FIFA World Cup.
FIFA World Cup as
well. They're going to be bidding for the Olympics very, very soon.
Yeah. So the Saudi Arabians have done that, and they've been accused again also of sport washing. Sport washing, of course, is where the phrase was coined to mean countries that are using sport and major world events as a way to clean up their image, ideally or supposedly tainted by human rights records and things like that from those respected regimes. Of course, personally, I'm not the kind of person sitting where I am in this part of the world. Want to judge countries based on such premises which are defined by the Western world, and that is because there's quite a bit of double standards, to be honest. And so when you if you accuse a country like Saudi Arabia, for example, if you're the Western world and you accuse them of human rights abuses and all, how then does the golf end up there? How then does all the boxing end up there? If you really are interested in that, stopping them from doing that, how does it happen? How do they...
Francis Ngannou, the reigning PFA heavyweight champion of the world. Now, the PFA is a rival body to the UFC in mixed martial arts.
Yes.
And actually, Francis Ngannou left the UFC after a pay dispute with Dana White, who is the CEO of the UFC. The UFC is the biggest combat sport organization.
Yes.
PFA is a rival of UFC, but they're all under MMA. When he fought Tyson Fury in that crossover fight, the money he made in just that one fight was more than he had ever made for his entire career in the UFC.
Yes.
In just that one fight.
That one fight in Saudi Arabia.
After payments made to his trainers, his managers, and everything, what his net gain from that fight was more than his entire earnings in his entire UFC career. How are you going to stop such a man from going to Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, so you see the thing, is, like I was saying, so you can't tell me...
This is a Cameroonian.
This Cameroonian, yeah.
Who left Yaoundé and went to the US via Paris out of desperation to make a living for himself. And right now, he's a millionaire.
He's a millionaire, multi-millionaire. So you can't tell me that you can judge Saudi Arabia that way and then allow them, actually, if you're the English Premier League, for example, allow them to buy Newcastle, one of the biggest clubs, traditionally the biggest clubs in England, which they actually did, because they are owned actually by a Saudi Arabia
a consortium,
if you like. So ideally, under those circumstances, and to be honest, the issues of human rights and all, and governance and democracy and all, I think they cut across the world. I think the Western world, for example, cannot sit, regardless of what you think, cannot sit on certain moral high ground and judge the entire world by its standards without looking into its own backyard, for example. But I'm not going to go political under those circumstances. I'll remain with the sport because this is why I support.
Mark,
allow me to finish.
Okay.
This is why I support Rwanda and the bid for Formula One. Rwanda is a small economy in Africa, one that does not have too much in way of industrialization. It's not like they manufacture so many things that they sell to the world. If they've decided to use sport for global visibility, for promotion of tourism and boosting their local economy, so be it. Again, like I said, as a Ugandan, I wouldn't judge them otherwise in criticism, other than standing admiration and all, and also in support. Because just here in our backyard, you just saw what we've just done. We've bid for AFCON, we've won AFCON. It has forced us into a situation where we have to build infrastructure, world-class infrastructure, which is going to outlive AFCON and bring more and more visitors and more sports competitions to this country, Akibwa, Hoima, and all. And definitely, it's good to help boost both our tourism, sports tourism, general tourism, and the economy. The amount of money that one Formula One weekend would take into the Rwanda's economy is multiple millions of dollars. Mark will tell you about the power of a Ferrari team or a Mercedes-Benz team being in your hometown for just one weekend.
It's massive.
It's huge. Yeah, and Rwanda have done these things as far as sports is concerned. They've gone ahead and refurbished their Amahoro Stadium and made sports football infrastructure that will allow them to host very big tournaments.
And they're part of sponsors as well?
Yeah, they've gone ahead and built an indoor basketball stadium, which is arguably the best in Africa at the moment, which means that NBA associates and all tournaments, continental, end up in Kigali these days.
Mark, when you start talking, you're not going to stop. There are many other things. They have a new course. They turned the Kigali Golf Resort and Vias from a 9-hour course into a full 18.
Yes. And
it's a brilliant course. The clubhouse is world class. Of course, we know about one of their plans actually is to host an LPGA Tour event very soon. Right. LPGA Tour is the Ladies Professional Golfers Association. Mm-hmm. And along the way, after LPGA Tour, the next level would be, of course, a PGA Tour event. And then maybe they'll have first play DP Tour event before thinking about the PGA. And of course, there's the airport which is being constructed.
Yes.
I'm very sure you know about it.
The airport, yeah.
Listen, I would love to be in a country where Paul Kagame is president because he's very, very passionate about sport. This is a guy who I interviewed in 2009, and we spoke for 5 hours. I sat down with the head of state, and we're discussing sport for 5 hours. He asked me, have you exhausted all your questions? He had just watched the final between Roger Federer and Del Potro in the 2009 US Open. That
US
final,
Open, yeah.
It started at midnight and ended at 6:30 in the morning. And he told me I never took a toilet break, all through because it was such an absorbing tennis final between Del Potro and Roger Federer. This is a guy who's flown to watch Champions League finals. He was in Qatar 2 years ago for the FIFA World Cup.
He watches NBA. He's on NBA.
He watches
courtside. He's on courtside for NBA basketball.
Yeah, he loves Arsenal. I mean, was it last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah.
The FIFA Congress was in Kigali. Rwanda opened the Pele Stadium. You know, I think it was the first Pele Stadium all over the world, which was inaugurated by the FIFA president Gianni Infantino. So when he was here as a bushwar fighter, together with President Museveni, when I was still in the Uganda still rebels. He would sneak away with Fred Rujema to come to Nigeria to watch SC Villa because he was passionate about SC Villa. So I mean, the guy, he loves sport.
He does, yeah.
He loves sport, definitely. And listen, it's a good thing, what Rwanda is trying to do. We know they've entered, they have those contracts there with Arsenal and PSG. So it's a good thing for Rwandan tourism, and the Rwandan economy. And the fact that, I mean, they're using sport to market their country to the world, it's a fantastic platform. My question, Mark, I haven't finished. My question, and I've got to ask this because sport doesn't exist in isolation, is whether the Rwanda economy can sufficiently fund all these activities. Listen, I'm not a qualified economist, and I know that there's money which is to be made, there's revenue to come out of this. But for Rwanda to host an F1 event, it's such a very, very capital-intensive project. And listen, we have the biggest economy. There's a reason why the F1 event hasn't been held in Africa for more than 3 decades. I want to think that there are some other economies which have wanted to host the F1 event and
haven't managed to. Now, Mark,
that doesn't work anywhere among.
This is how I respond to it. Is that it is impossible? Is nothing. When you put your mind to it, there's nothing you can't do, and that's the example actually Rwanda has made. Even here, I just gave examples of Uganda here. The people who, when we first won the AFCON bid for 2027, who were actually skeptical about Uganda hosting that, because at that point, even Nambola itself was not existent as a sports stadium anymore at that time when we were winning that. But its renovation has been expedited. It has been fast-tracked. So much so that right now what's happening is that Nambola is again our home for football. And we are hosting games here where we once played in Morocco and Tunisia and wherever. But it is also host to home games for Kenya and Zimbabwe, our neighbors. Who would have thought just 1 year ago that this was possible? Now we've done that. The construction of Hoima Stadium is going so quickly that every month you see new videos of the progression, and you're like, oh my God, is this actually being done in our backyard? People like Mark and I, who have been here for a long time, might have thought that this was a pipe dream when it was first floated. But in that same breath, our contract for Kibwa has been signed, a contractor has been got, and money has been got out of Uganda's treasury to fund that. And by 2027, there will be those stadiums and even training grounds which you didn't think we would construct. I mean, in Chambogwa and Makerere and whatever Rwanda. So, if Rwanda have put their mind to it, they will do it, and they will find the money for it. First make the decision, and then go after looking for the funds.
Maybe because the difference, Mark, is we talked about Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
The money Saudi Arabia is using for this event is pocket change.
It's already, it's pocket change. Yeah.
They have it.
Same as Qatar with the World Cup.
Same as Qatar with the World Cup.
Yeah.
I mean,
or Abu Dhabi with the Formula One.
They have all the money.
Yes.
Rwanda is one of Africa's poorest countries.
Yes.
And
so
they're dreaming big, hosting. I mean, all these global events. And listen, I pray and hope that they prove me wrong and they host successful events. But how they are doing it is. I mean, if they pull it off, and I pray that they pull it off, it will be.
There are so many ways of doing it, and one of those is actually is informing strategic partnerships, because they don't have to generate all the funds initially for that on their own. But I'm talking about a country which, if they had told you before the current Kigali Arena existed, that they would build one like that in 8 months, not even a year, in 8 months, you'd have said where they were to get the money.
Yeah.
So Formula One is much, but they did. And they unveiled it, and it's the best thing.
What they did on Amahoro Stadium is out of this world.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
So this one is much bigger than all of those.
Way bigger.
Way bigger. Well, it can still be pulled off. But I'll tell you, this is the same Rwanda, which next year, because they're making these things happen, next year in September 2025, they are actually going to host the UCI World Championship. That is a cycling race, or road cycling race. that is one of the biggest on the sporting calendar. They're hosting it next year, and they've designed over 200 kilometers of what everybody is calling perhaps the best course for that particular championship, which has been going around the world. And they're going to have people like Mark will tell you. You need to look him up. Mark will tell you about a man called Tadej Pogacar. That's the best cyclist in the world right now, a man from Slovenia. He's what Chris Froome was a few years ago, or what Armstrong was a decade ago. These are the people who are going to be in town for Rwanda. In the same way as this Formula One annual general meeting, which I'm talking about, happened within their backyard. You know who was in town? Max Verstappen was actually doing community service in a Kigali school in Rwanda because of he had breached protocols for Formula One by saying certain funny things to the media during the Singapore Grand Prix. So he had been fined and he did community service. He did it in Rwanda. Imagine how much that brought to the Rwanda's economy. And then he went ahead to step on the same podium as Paul Kagame and receive his award for being the fourth straight champion.
I think the long and short of this
Formula One.
The long and short of this, Mark, is that
from Verstappen on the stage to the track, Rwanda can do it. They can, and so can Uganda, and the things we are planning to do.
You have a president,
and they're inspiring us.
You have a president who's so passionate about sports, and everyone knows that when the president wants something done, it must be done, because there's no other way around it. You have to do it. You either do it or you do it. So
it's a good example for us. And here again, we've seen the same. Like I've told you, which is why I cannot be hypocritical and judge them differently when I wish the same things for our country. Here, when our president has said, "Let there be Hoima, let there be Akibwa," they are going to be. And this is at a time when actually many sectors in Uganda are struggling because of there's not enough money in the national treasury to fund all these things. But if the political powers have said, let there be, and there is happening.
What you can also be sure is that while Terry took 14 years, you can be sure that F1 track will not take 14 years.
It won't, neither will Hoima, neither will Akibwa.
We are getting excited. I see that. But let's move on, guys. Let's move on to European football. At this point, Man United fans are believing again. I don't know if it's just a short-lived spark, or if we are at the age of a glorious comeback. But let's separate the dream from the delusion.
Well, United fans have every reason to believe, because City, they've been on the back end of some huge embarrassments against Man City. They've been on the receiving end. 6-0 at Old Trafford, there was 6-1, there was 6-3, there was all sorts of results from across all the managers, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Although actually Solskjaer had a fairly decent record against Man City, but Erik ten Hag and David Moyes and others, they were on the receiving end of some Man City thrashing. So I think that the result against City was actually much more important than the performance. And as much as United were not too shabby, I thought they limited City to the chances City created. The goal was, I wouldn't say against the run of play, but Onana, I can hardly remember any save Onana had to make in that entire 90 minutes. But I thought United smothered the City threat very, very well. I thought, given the team they put out there, I thought Amorim showed some very, very big balls by laying down the marker. I know he's tried to downplay why he opted not to play Rashford and Garnacho. I believe it had something to do with a disciplinary issue, although he's tried to insinuate that the decisions were tactical. But I think it was the result which the club needed, having lost 2 Premiership games in a row, but most especially against a team which has won the Premier League 4 years in a row and has been beating United left, right, centre at the Etihad. City have their problems of their own, but I think this was a result which is going to potentially maybe turn around United season, because this is a club which is in transition. There's a new manager who is coming to grips with new players, and those new players are trying to understand a new philosophy, a new system. So I think it's a result which will do the club a lot of good. I always felt that City were under more pressure, like I said last week. Mark begged to differ, but I think it told over 90 minutes. Because this City team, I think, I don't know what's happening to them, but something tells me they're probably hitting the end of their course because they've won too much. And I think the cyclic nature of footballing dominance dictates that Man City can only go down and not up.
Yeah, okay. There's, well, the thing is, yeah, I'd like to give you credit for last week saying that City were under more pressure. I didn't think necessarily that would mean, though, that United were going to beat them. And I was wrong on that count as well. The thing, though, yeah. But it was one of the few times when I'm happy to be wrong. I was happy to be wrong on that one, yeah, because I don't think many people would have celebrated that win more than I did. But having said that, anyway, if you're asking, like I thought you did, are United back?
Good.
There's one can think that it's jumping the gun or getting too excited to actually claim that. But there's so many reasons why I'd like to say that United are actually back under those circumstances. Look, since Ruben Amorim took over, there's been a lot of chopping and changing of this team. He's experimented so much that actually I don't think there's a single outfield player who has not played under Amorim in 4 or 5 games, who has been available. Which is what for example, everybody blames Eric Ten Hag for having Ahmad sit on the bench for an entire year without playing him and things like that. And it wasn't easy even for Ruud van Nistelrooy to be able to do that because he came in there as an interim and needed to get some results quickly to get United's confidence and everything back and to get the fans back on board and everybody. He didn't have the wherewithal to actually experiment the way Amorim has come. This is a guy who is has so much conviction about his abilities and his philosophy that he came in there and chose to ignore everything else that comes with the pressure of managing Man United and decided to go his way. From the very first kickoff of his very first game, he changed that system and has not compromised about it. It is now a back three. It's a 3-4-3, and the entire world knows what Man United is about. They play 3 at the back, they play wing backs, and they play a double pivot, and they play 3 front attackers with 1 9 and 2 10s. And he has insisted on that from day one. That is, for me, that tells you about United being back. And now, when you talk about chopping and changing, that is going. That's also beginning to change. Because one of the things that have happened is that absentees, as well as the nature of games, have now forced United into getting the best lineup of their 3-4-3 that they can have. That injury to Mason Mount yesterday meant that Kobe Mainoo had to step onto the pitch quickly. Now, Kobe Mainoo is the guy who we all know is supposed to be Manu Ugate's partner in the double pivot, ahead of Christian Eriksen, ahead of Casemiro, and ahead of Mason Mount, who Amorim seems to like so much. He's trying to find him a place to play.
I thought that injury was a blessing. It was. For Man United.
It actually was, because what it made that even the captain, Bruno Fernandes, had to come out of that double pivot in the deep place where Amorim was insisting on playing him where I don't think he should play. Yeah. To have to go forward when Mainoo came on. Yeah. And when he went forward, that's when United started to get the few chances they did. The best chance of the whole game in this derby actually fell
to Bruno Fernandes, yeah.
And he chipped badly.
The best chance of all the goals.
Of the target, yeah.
The best chance.
Yeah. And now, because we had to play against City, who have such strength generally in attack, but also such versatile players in the wide areas, especially like Jeremy Doku, it meant that Amorim could not send Ahmad to play right wing back like he has been playing in the other games. Because when he has been playing right wing back and we're playing a back 3 against teams which we are supposed to be stronger than, for example, like Nottingham Forest or Bordeaux or whichever ones that we played, Ahmad is mostly an attacking player on the ball. Against a team like City, was always going to become one of the back 5. The back 3 becomes a back 5 when you become defensive. Yeah. So playing in there would have been a waste. He has been United's best form player. And he needed to be in a place where he was taking us forward, not defending against the Jeremy Doku. So Mazraoui, who has been playing in the back 3, was shifted to that role. Dalot shifted to that role as a left wing back. And the back 3 of Maguire and De Ligt and Martinez.
And I think
that is the way United is supposed to play.
To credit Eric Ten Hag, I think Mazraoui has been the best signing of all the 5 who were signed in the summer. Europe has been out injured,
yes,
but Mazraoui has
been the best signing.
Been the best signing.
Yeah, our potential new best signing also as well, along with Mazraoui, is actually Ahmad, because Ahmad has been at the club almost 3 years now. But
Ahmad was signed under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Ole made a very good signing under the circumstances. The guy came in, was sent on loan to Sunderland, was then injured for almost another year, and all of a sudden has now come good. And he's been pushed into... So the competition will be between Ahmad and Garnacho and Mount and Bruno and for who actually plays as the 2 10s behind the striker. Which competition is between Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee. Zirkzee, by the way, for him is more versatile than Højlund, and Rashford, he can play as one of the 2 10s, and then Marcus Rashford as well. So now the United team is known. And it's everybody's getting fit because everybody wants to get involved. That's one. But two, I think when Amorim makes some demands either in this January window or next summer to add to that squad, everybody will see it's justified. The Rat will give you the money.
The significance.
I call Jim Ratcliffe for
the significance of this result. Yeah. United has, I mean, they've had all sorts of troubles this season. Lost games they shouldn't have lost. Were very poor under Ten Hag, and at one point, I mean, they've been closer to the relegation than Liverpool at top of the table. But the result was so important that, I mean, you have to be in Manchester to understand what this result means for United fans. Where I mean, more than 30 minutes after full time, all the away fans were still in the Etihad.
Yes,
singing, and reminding City fans who are not there that you're cheats. You're going to be doctor of the points. You've been winning trophies illegally. Actually, even when Pep Guardiola was holding his press conference, the United fans are still in the stadium chanting. And I saw this actually at the 2014 World Cup when Germany beat Brazil 7-0 in the stadium in Eraso. The stadium was empty. Brazilian fans had left after like 60 minutes. But German fans stayed there for like an hour singing because they knew the significance of that result. Yes. Not going to score 2 goals versus Brazil. Now 7 in Brazil is historic.
Yeah.
So for United fans, this was a statement victory, and it has actually, in a way, it has gone somewhere in erasing the last 2 losses to Arsenal, Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
So if United had lost this game, this season was going to take a different turn, and I think this could be the result which turns around United season.
Yeah, so it's some of these things. I think you can tell that there are signs which show that certain people have arrived. I think Amorim is the right fit for United. He's there to stay, and apart from his tactical acumen and his ability to inspire men, he's a good man manager. For a young man, he's only 39.
He's been at City twice in 1 week, in 1 month, 2 months.
I think he's also blessed because there's such a thing as you being at the right time, in the right place at the right time, and things falling in place for you. The way they did for Jose Mourinho when he first arrived at Chelsea, there are signs that this is where it's heading for.
And put it this way, Mark. Put it this way: you drop Garnacho and Rashford, and City beat you at the Etihad. Imagine what the others would get like.
They'll go to, I mean, the same guys, Gary Neville and Roy Keane and everybody else, England, the same guys who are singing his praises now might have used a different tone. And United lost the service. And an Englishman being left out of the squad for reasons which are not very well explained. But now, United have a fixture list which is really tough. On Thursday, they play against Spurs in the Carabao. And then they have to play against Spurs again in the league, not so far away from them. And the matches in there also include one against Arsenal, another against Liverpool. Tough games away to
Arsenal and FA Cup,
FA Cup, Tough games away to Wolves and tough games generally. But it's a fixture list that these guys should relish. It's a squad big enough to be rotated to fit in there, and it will be one where everybody's jumping at the bit. The way Casemiro and Eriksen jumped out of the dugout at the final whistle, rushed to the pitch, and celebrated with Ahmad, the hero of the day, regardless of the fact that they did not get to kick a ball, and their futures are now very much in question, considering their age and priorities.
And I mean, Casemiro is the club's highest earner.
Yeah, it just shows you that there's a camaraderie now in that dressing room that only augurs well for the kind of manager Amorim has started.
Especially, I mean, Casemiro is a player who has won it all. He won 5 Champions League titles.
Yes.
Won, everything there is to win in club football. But he celebrated that he's like his life. And then he didn't even kick a ball.
Yeah, he didn't kick a ball. Eriksen either. And Eriksen has won a lot more trophies than most of the guys at Man United as well. In the other places where he's been. Milan, Ajax, whatever. He's been a winner. And so these guys know they are senior enough to understand what that kind of thing means. But they also know that with the fixture congestion that United have, with the demands that are going to be their results and all, they will actually get the opportunity.
Especially the festive season, because for some reason
They will get their chance to play.
players are more prone to injury in the festive season because the pitches become heavy.
Yes.
And the games come in thick and fast.
Yeah.
You know, there's no winter break in England, so you're going to be having games.
You're playing on Boxing Day and playing again before New Year.
Before New Year's Day, then they sometimes play New Year's.
26th and 29th or 26th.
So you need a squad. Squad depth is very, very important. The games are coming in thick and fast. You need players who are available and fit.
Yeah, absolutely. There you are. So if you ask me, are United back? Regardless of, I'll tell you yes.
Shout out all the United fans out there.
Yeah.
Right, now moving on to the, else abroad, we're looking at the NBA. It seems to, to have a 3-point crisis. I don't know if they're shooting their way into trouble. Ssali will give us that, and then golf. Namanya, you will, talk about Breakdown and how the two can beat.
And the league, yeah. So as far as the NBA is concerned, there have been some concerns in recent weeks, which of course these concerns have been there for the last 2-3 years, but they've been escalated now this season, with where there have been some very, very poor games in which two teams came up against each other, shot up a bulk of threes and missed them, and it made for very ugly television. So, and everybody's like, the NBA has changed for the worse. And it's an eyesore and everything. There are games involving Chicago and Charlotte and a few others where they missed so many threes. When one game actually they combined for 75 misses, I think it was the game between Charlotte and Chicago. And and so the noise has been made. So if, I have two takes on this. One is that coaches. I'm blaming coaches for the fact that they're not reining in the way threes are being taken. Steph Curry has changed basketball for forever, the NBA for forever. When since he walked into the league as some skinny Warriors kid, who everybody thought was never going to survive in the NBA, and shot himself into contention for
The history books.
into the history books as the greatest point guard of all time, ahead of Magic Johnson.
Steph is a top 10 player of all time.
Yeah. Some people would like to have him in the conversation for the GOAT, actually.
He's a top 10 player of all time. And actually, Max, I would go as far as saying Steph Curry has had a bigger impact on NBA than LeBron James. LeBron is a better player, but Steph has had a bigger impact.
Because he actually changed the way
the game is played. Which is, I think, for me, actually, and again, for me, Steph was actually the NBA player of the last decade.
Yes, in a sense, yes, yeah. 4 championships, 1 or 2 near misses, and rewriting the history books, the greatest shooter of all time and everything. But the thing is, the coaches, even under the circumstances where the NBA has become a shooting league, for me, I blame them. They've got to rein in on some of these plays, because not everybody in that league is Steph, and not every team is a Golden State Warriors. The Warriors are not missing 75 3-pointers in a game. The Warriors actually, even after this Hullabaloo, went ahead last night to set the new record for NBA for 3-pointers made
together with the Dallas
Mavericks. In the game against Dallas Mavericks, the two teams combined for 45 made threes, which is the highest in history. And both of them shot over 50% in that game. So basically, that says
they're both good shooters.
Yeah,
Dallas have good shooters.
Yes, yeah. It says that they have good shooters, but it says that perhaps they've been doing their shot selection better.
Yeah.
So, and that's down to coaches, because while, for example, Steph and Warriors will shoot many threes, they also make a lot of 2-pointers from the passes they find under the hoop for guys like Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga, guys who are cutting. Those passes are sometimes from Steph, but mostly from Draymond Green.
Draymond Green, yes.
Yeah, so they know how different ways to play.
Yeah.
And a team cannot come and say we are emulating the Warriors and Steph by just chucking up threes the way Charlotte was doing the other day in Chicago.
But Mark, so Steph changed the game.
And the coaches
Steph changed the game. We agree about that.
Yeah.
But there are many other players who have picked up from Steph to redefine how the game of basketball is played.
Yeah.
Because listen, you have a big like Nikola Jokic, who is such a very efficient 3-point shooter.
Yes, yeah.
You have other bigs who can shoot the 3. I mean, Namanya is a decent 3-point shooter. You have Joel Embiid, who's a decent.
They can all shoot, yeah.
So I think because of what Steph did and what the other bigs are doing now, so you have bigs whose I mean, their dominance should be inside in the paint, but I think they should also go on the outside and influence the game because of players like Jokic, like Embiid, like Umbanyama and others. And I mean, even Anthony Davis can shoot threes.
They cannot. Yeah, most of the bigs now can shoot. Which at Chicago, whoever. Yeah.
Yeah. So you wonder whether the big in the mold of Van Ewing is a case of history.
Under the circumstances, yes. The thing though is that, like I said, I would like for the coaches to show a little more versatility. Because while Jokic might be accused of shooting threes, but he also dunks under the hoop.
Yeah.
He also operates inside and posts up and shows you
and Jokic,
the old-fashioned low post game every once in a while.
And Jokic, when Jokic shoots a three, it's the right play.
Yeah.
Because Jokic can stand and dribble the key, and then he'll reach the ball.
Yes.
I mean, he has an IQ which is up there with LeBron's. So Jokic will not shoot a three because he's trying to shoot threes.
Yeah. So the coaching has got to be better. So they rein this in and ensure that basketball is played properly on the practice courts. How the play is being set up. Because the things that annoy me about the way 3-point shooters points are shot and how people is the coaches are allowing people to get away with them, and so guys will continue to miss them. You have a situation where you get a stop. You've won the basket. You've won the ball from the offensive team, and then you start a fast break. You're running, and you have a 3-on-1 situation where if you move the ball between the three of you, you get an easy 2. Somebody pops up and shoots a 3 when you have a 3-on-1 situation and misses it. And gets away with that. Only that's on the coaches. It's not on Steph. It's not on the league.
Here's the thing.
It's on the coaches. And how do you allow the guy to continue?
How many are there Steph in NBA?
Well, it's 12 now, 13. No, Steph is on what? 16.
Yes, that's 16 or thereabouts. That's
16th league. Yeah.
Steph became the phenomenon he is, I think, in 2014, 13, 14.
Yeah, 13. Yeah.
Typically, a kid who was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 that has gone through college or played or into the draft. These are kids who grew up watching stuff. Today, I'll tell you, pick up basketball on all the castle courts, the public courts, high school, college. Everyone gets the ball, everyone is shooting threes in the US. Everyone is shooting threes. No one is. People are not concentrating so much on the post game, the inside game, and it's threes. So you can blame the coaches as you like. But right now, the culture, which is being ingrained from the lowest levels, high school and college, and even street basketball, is that we must be shooting threes. So it will take, yes, the coaches have got their work to do, but it is good to, there must be that paradigm shift, if I may say.
Yeah, absolutely.
To turn that around.
Turn it around. But I still insist that some of the guys who can change that are actually the coaches. Because the thing is, by the way, while Dallas and the Warriors were setting that record, there was also a very good game, I think, between the Sun and the Jazz, where they shot very big.
Yes.
They shot a very good percentage with that.
Yeah.
They actually set a record of their own. The thing, though, is that coaches have got to rein in. They're killing the mid-range game, because even at the Suns, you have two of the best shooters of all time from mid-range in Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Now they're also forced to shoot threes only because the 2 doesn't count, and yet it should because it's a higher percentage shot and it's a guarantee.
One of the criticisms, Mark, for Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is one of the best basketballers, one of the best 3-5 basketballers, is that he can't shoot the ball as good as the other guys. He has other gifts. He doesn't need the shot. But today, the notion is that to be the best basketballer in the world, you must be a shooter. LeBron was a decent shooter. Kevin Durant is a decent shooter. Kobe was a good shooter. Steph and all the other guys. D-Wade. So if you cannot be Giannis and you're staking a claim to be the best player in the NBA when you can't shoot the basket.
He can't even make a free throw to service life. I think though is that I'd prefer, in fact, I'd want a team that still considers the mid-range or the dunk as an important shot. I'd like for them to win more than the guys that shoot the threes, just so they can change it a bit. The 3-pointer is bigger than the 2.
Yeah.
For every 2 shots there that you make, there's 2 more points.
And you're right, Mark. One of the most underrated aspects of Steph's game is that Steph is very deadly inside. When he cuts in,
he's one of the best finishers at the rim of all time.
Of all time, absolutely.
All right, and now on to golf. We have Mark Namanya, tell us, do you think it's time to worry about Liv's future, or they will be swinging just fine without their boss?
I think Liv's future is not to be worried about, because Liv entered a merger with the PGA. For those who don't know Liv was the Saudi-backed rival golf group, rival association, which was started by Greg Norman 3 years ago. And it attracted some of the best golfers in the world: Phil Mickelson, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, and many other elite golfers who had previously been part of the PGA, but they felt like they didn't have so much control over the PGA, which is a non-profit body. They felt they could command more money elsewhere, which Liv was giving obscene amounts of money. Players were moving. Dustin Johnson, who at the time was, I think, among the top 3 ranked players when he was enticed by Liv, was paid $125 million to drop the PGA for Liv.
Yeah, moving from the PGA to the Liv was all about money.
It was about money.
It's Saudi petrodollars.
Yeah, John Ram was paid $450 million to move away from PGA to the
PGA tour. Yeah,
Tiger Woods and McIlroy turned down their offers because they were commanding more. They would have commanded a lot more money. Tiger, somewhere upwards of $1 billion. You can imagine. So I think my strong suspicion is that Greg Norman stepping down is voluntary, because some concessions have had to be made on both sides. Those talks are still ongoing between the Liv merger and the PGA merger. It's taken forever to happen, because the Liv calendar activities are still ongoing, as well as the PGA calendar activities. So I think part of the conditions, I know McIlroy, who has been a staunch supporter of the PGA, was that he said Greg Norman has got to leave this issue so that it's adults who are engaging in it. Which was
allow the adults to engage. Greg Norman is a 69-year-old world's best golfer in the world.
Yeah.
Who has been in charge as CEO of the Liv, which Mark is talking about, the Saudi Arabian version of the International Golf Tour. And so McIlroy, who is a young current player, is telling Greg Norman to leave the stage. Take left, exit the stage, let the adults talk.
He's telling it's a very
let the adults talk.
Yeah.
But Greg Norman, I think, Mark, from what I've seen, many people were thinking it was a stumbling block between PGA and Liv finding some sort of common ground and coming together, because the split had affected golf in such a way that
it polarized golf.
It polarized golf. Yeah. People went the other side.
Yeah.
Some of the best players in the world, you would want to see them compete against the other best players in the world, but there's one group which stayed here and another which went there. And
I mean, all of a sudden, so you had concurrent events. So you have PGA events happening, and PGA events are the traditional 4-day events. So they tee off on Thursday and Friday, where there's a cut. Then you have the final round on Saturday and Sunday. Now with Liv, it was a 54-hole event. So they play over 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Secondly, with the Liv format, there's no cut. So all the players who start on Liv will play all
the way
54 holes. And then for Liv, it was a short cut format, where all the players are teeing off at the same time. So you have guys who are teeing off on hole 7, hole 8, hole 9, hole 10, but they start and finish within 4.5 hours, as opposed to PGA, where everyone is starting from one tee, and then you have to wait to watch the entire day for golf to start from beginning to the end. So Liv tried to rejig the way the game is played, and it was welcomed by a faction of people who supported the guys who broke off, because they felt that let players have more control and make more money. But those talks have taken forever. I strongly believe that maybe the departure of Greg Norman is going to hasten the compromise which between PGA and Liv Golf for the sport to have just one unified body which is running the game, and all of a sudden maybe we can get back to the days when we used to have Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau on the same on the same card with the guys who stayed loyal to PGA, that is Scotty Scheffler, who is the world's best golfer by some distance, Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods, and the likes.
Okay, thank you so much, Mark. And back home, still on the same topic, actually.
We're still on the same topic of golf. There is a new tournament which is going to happen next year. It's going to be called the Pan of Africa Golf Series. It's being the inaugural event will be in Feb. It will be played over 4 courses, that is Uganda Golf Club, Entebbe Golf Club, Lake Victoria Center Golf Resort and Spa, as well as Lugazi, which is, and I've said this before, arguably the best golf course in the country. And I'm happy to note that I'll be the face of this All of Africa Golf Series.
Don't say.
And but I'm not a professional, so I'll just be the face of it. I'll be helping them with activities regarding publicity and communications. But more importantly, it's going to help the professionals in this country play more competitive golf for some very good money. There are a couple of some big sponsors on board for those series, and who knows? And a similar initiative is happening in Malawi. There's another one in South Africa. But the idea is to create a competitive series for golfers, professional golfers in this country, so that along the way you're affording our golfers, the elite golfers, chances of competing at the very highest level, and who knows, maybe make that very, very big cut into the DP World Tour. So it's a wonderful development for Ugandan golf, and who knows, in the next couple of years we shall be producing more Ronald Rugumayos and more Dismas and Dizas emerging from our own local circuit. And the plan is that along the way it's going to grow and then attract other foreign golfers, guys flying in from, who knows, Kenya, Tanzania, Malawi, Zimbabwe, and South Africa along the lakes, so that we have a very, very competitive part of Africa golf series happening within our country.
Okay, that was it about young golf. And now speaking of dance, we have the Terriot Academy, Sports Academy that has been commissioned. I don't know, what does this mean for the next generation?
Yeah, we were meant to talk about this part last week, but we didn't. Yeah, so I'll just say this, that the Terriot High Altitude Training Center is a training center for elite athletes and even upcoming athletes that has been started, an idea that was born some time ago, and government decided to put up
2010,
yeah, put up a high altitude center where which would be accessible for training at the right altitude in the right environment for Ugandan athletes who are popping up in that region, Ssali region, and representing us on the global scene and taking over the world scene. When the Kipsiros were there, and when Stephen Kiprotich was running and winning gold in London and at the Olympics and everything. And since then, we have since produced other world champions, Jacob Kiplimo, Joshua Cheptegei, Ruth Temtai, and a few others, Stella Shesang now. So that the idea was born, and then the blueprint was, they came up with a blueprint to build this. It has taken a lot of time because there was a lot of stalling here and there. But it was supposed to be built in 2 phases. So what the President and the First Lady commissioned last week is the first phase of Terriot, which includes a running track of several kilometers in and around the facility for middle distance and long distance runners to train. It also has a football pitch, and then the kind of track for even shorter races and all that you usually find around football pitches. I know that track is there as well as hostels and a few other things that have been established. If once the second phase is done, it will be an even more complete complex with an Olympic-sized swimming pool, with a state-of-the-art international gym, with a 5-star hotel, with villas, and all of that kind of stuff. So, Mark, it's amazing. Yeah?
Typically, the biggest challenge in Ugandan facilities of the kind, especially those which are being supported and funded by government, is maintenance.
Maintenance, yes.
And are you confident enough that 5 years, 10 years down the road, these facilities will be maintained and will be looking in the pristine condition in which they were when the president launched them?
Yeah, I'm relatively confident that it will. That will be the case. For starters, one of the problems with maintenance of big sports facilities built across the world is use. Once they go into a dormant state where they're not being used, it's very difficult for them to be maintained.
Yeah, because they're not making money.
They're not making money, and so people pay less attention and everything. And eventually, those are the white elephants we talked about last time when we were talking about Akibwa and Hoima. This one is going to be constantly in use. The guys in the Ssali region are always on training. Joshua Cheptegei's house and his own training facility, smaller training facility, and not too far from where Terriot is. The guys within the region, so many kids are picking up interest because of the world's the global fame that their peers, their older peers, are gaining, as well as the fortune. Not only the fame, but the fortune.
I'm saying this, Mark,
making a lot of money, because so it will be in constant use. So maintenance will be a little easier.
Last year I traveled to South Africa to the Soccer City Stadium, FNB Stadium, where the 2010 World Cup was held, the final between Spain and Netherlands. And that's the biggest stadium in South Africa, 90,000 seater in Soweto. And believe me, that stadium was in the same state when we left it 14 years ago. In the same state, because we did an extensive tour of it. Mm-hmm. So, that's a credit to the city council, which is managing the stadium. They've got the stadium management team, the management company for the stadium, but all the toilets, all the offices, all the seats, everything was fine. You felt the stadium was open yesterday. Now, is it something which can pull off with all our facilities in Lira when it's fairly done, Hoima, and Nambole? That's the $1 million question.
Yeah, the challenge, of course, the challenge is going to be largely on the National Council of Sports as the government arm that is in charge of this, because a new sports law has been enacted in Uganda. It was enacted last year in 2023, which in one of its very many clauses and all, puts all sports infrastructure in the country under the charge of National Council of Sports. And one of the things, of course, National Council of Sports is going to have to do is to open up by hiring professionals for the different facilities and all, because it will not be only managed centrally out of their headquarters in Lugogo. They need a lot more manpower to actually manage these facilities across the country that are popping up across the country. And that's something they're going to have to do. But it doesn't worry me too much, like I said, for when a facility is actually in constant use for its maintenance. For
as long as it's in constant use, if there are many activities happening every week, every month, it's not going to be run down. It's just like a house. If your house is abandoned for 1 month, the house will start looking like an abandoned house. But if you're living there, it will look like a house.
Yeah, and you see, one of the things that will happen, of course, is once you've established once the hostels and those villas that I've talked about and the 5-star hotel are actually put in place, you expect that place to get super busy.
Yes.
Because athletes from all around the world who will be trying to train at altitude before major competitions will be coming here the way they've been going to Kenya. The guy who won the 5,000 and 10,000 meter gold at the 2012 Olympics in London was Mo Farah, who was British. And before that competition, actually, he came down to Eton in Kenya and come to the Kenyan athletes just so he could train at altitude and with them and see exactly what made them champions. So you expect that kind of thing is going to happen for Uganda and Terriot, that there will be elite athletes from all across the world that want to camp there and train at this. I'm talking about over 5,000 meters above sea level, by thought, to train there and acclimatize to situations where there's more demand on their bodies from less oxygen and
another thing tougher. Another thing which is important, again, sticking to our facilities, is that I think for the enlightenment of the public, sports facilities are nominally built for sports events.
Yeah.
Along the way, sports events, yes, they generate revenue, but in the case of Nambole, you're not going to say, I'm going to limit Nambole to only football matches. Because how many matches are at Nambole? Are they 4 or 5 in a year? But the stadium has got to survive for 365 days. There's water being used, there's electricity being used. It's a multi-purpose event. And the problem is not that the NRS conference is happening at Nambole. All the stadiums which we see world over are used for various other events. The Wembleys of this world, the Old Traffords, they host music shows.
Wembley hosts the biggest musicians in the world.
Absolutely.
And
some of them, actually, some of the non-sports events that generate even more revenue than the sports events.
Yeah.
It is how to manage the turf, maintain the turf, have a pitch cover so that you're not going to damage the turf. And then once you've done that, then you can accommodate as many revenue
generating activities as possible. Yeah,
it's possible.
The thing is,
because the minister had said I think it is in that we shall use Namanya for only sports events and nothing else. Believe you me, if they stuck to that, Namanya would not even break even in
even some of them. We've talked about boxing going to Saudi Arabia, to Riyadh and all. But some of the biggest boxing events actually also have been held at Wembley.
Absolutely.
And some of the biggest concerts, some of the biggest musicians in the world have performed at Wembley. But so
I'm not one of those who says why you allowing the locally to use Namanya. No, they can use Namanya as long as they're paying the money, which they do. That's what always spending time. In the pays late, in somebody that even. But these are the guys that are paying time.
As long as they're not taking precedent over those sporting events,
absolutely.
That calendars are not clashing.
Absolutely.
And also they're not damaging.
Absolutely.
The facility.
Which is why I'm not one of those who has always advocated for Lugogo not to be used for other events. Because as long as they're generating revenue and they bring in money, I have a problem for as long as the wickets.
In the Ugandan case, by the way, all that revenue generated by these sports facilities, which is outside of those core sports events, all that money still ends up in the national treasury, in the consolidated fund, from where it is picked to facilitate so many other things, not only the maintenance of those grounds, but also to bankroll a few other activities, government-related activities, because non-tax revenue is an important cash.
It can just be directed
Absolutely. So, but anyway, no, I'm not too worried about interior and maintenance, to be honest, because of it. I expect it to even be busier than football pitches around the clock, and it should be okay.
Okay, so right about now we are getting into Paul's wisdom. I'm dropping you another gem today, and it's coming straight from the Formula One pit lane. Okay, so of course when you mention Formula One, that's speed, right? Speed is thrilling, but it is the pit stops that win the race. Okay, so just like in life like Formula One, sometimes you need to take a moment and recharge. Readjust, to make life happen. And that's what happens, really. That's what makes a difference. Thank you.
The pit stops.
The pit stops. And if I may ask, which Formula One driver do you go?
Why is what?
Who's your favorite F1 driver?
Mark, I see what you're doing.
Unless you're from construction team, which team do you...
Mark,
okay.
Let's do this here.
I think it's Lewis Hamilton.
I also think it's Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton, by the way.
Some of the obvious ones, yes.
By the way, Lewis Hamilton has been one of the biggest advocates for Formula One to come to Africa, and he says Kigali is one of his favorite places. So that's
I'm sure he can't wait.
An endorsement for Rwanda.
That's a big endorsement.
It's a big one.
I may have started planning.
No, Lewis Hamilton. I know why he says Rwanda is one of his favorite destinations. But let's proceed.
All right, guys, let's get on to the betting predictions, okay? Let's start with Arsenal and Palace in the ESL.
Yeah, that's EFL Cup. They're actually playing on Wednesday. And Arsenal have, I'd said it here before the Everton game last week, that teams are going to start to prepare better for Arsenal set pieces and all, and try to neutralize that advantage that Arsenal is having over them. So Arsenal are going to have to, and Everton defended those set pieces really, really well under the circumstances. Many teams are going to force Arsenal to go back to plan A, which was to play beautifully and score from open play as they used to. Palace is one of the tougher opposition because it's a London derby, and Palace are in a good place, but they love playing against the big ones, and Arsenal might bring out the best in them. But I still fancy Arsenal to win this. A tight one though, 2-1.
2-1.
Palace are riding on a form. They drew to City, traveled to Brighton and beat Brighton 3-1. Ever an easy trip at the Amex. Arsenal haven't won in 2 games. Drew at Fulham.
Drew to Everton.
Drew at Black there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with a Palace. I'm with a Palace upset. 2-1 Palace.
Okay. Then.
Or if you're betting, should go for the extra.
All right. Then we have Sutton hosting Liverpool Wednesday.
Southampton, yeah. Liverpool failed to win at the weekend as well against Fulham in the league, and they got a red card there for Robertson, and I think they're going to bounce right back in this one. Southampton are playing at the St. Mary's. They however, are not in good form. They're shipping loads of goals. They're not defending.
But they just fired their coach, Russell Martin.
Or if they fired Russell Martin, usually the first game for a new manager is usually a good one for them.
A good one, yeah, because that's prove a point.
Yeah, unfortunately for this one, I still don't think it will happen. I think Liverpool will win. Liverpool will win at Southampton in the EFL, and that will be a tight one as well. I'm going 1-0 Liverpool or 2-1, a tight one like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how Southampton can be worse than they were against Spurs, where they leaked in 5 in the opening half. Wow. I'm going for an upset. Southampton 1-0.
Wow. 2 upset there so far.
Let's hope it's
I think Mark is just trying to pave the way for United win in the AFL. He's virtually eliminating all the opposition just so United can have a cakewalk. Anyway,
Easy access, yeah. So we have Spurs Manu. It's really hitting up.
That's also EFL, but it's on Thursday, yeah. And it's away in Tottenham. United are in a good spell of form. They've I just talked about them being back, but going to London to play against Tottenham is a very tough one. Over the span of 90 minutes, I think the two teams are going to cancel each other. That will be a draw. And if there's no replays, this is one of those EFL Cup games that I think would go into shootout. Yeah, I don't know what Mark thinks, but that's where I see it. But they'll cancel each other. Yeah.
Murphy 2-1 Man United.
2-1 Man United. Only our victories. You see, I told you, he's just paving the way for United to win the EFL Cup.
Okay, then we have Bayern and Leipzig on Friday.
Yeah, Bayern got beaten in the Bundesliga at the weekend, and they've allowed Leverkusen right back into the title race with that loss. They don't have Hurricane has not been playing; he's been injured, and they've got 1 or 2 absentees. Leipzig is a tough opponent. Lois Openda, and Benjamin Sesko, and Xavi Simons. I know they've got a star-studded attack, which I really like Leipzig.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think Bayern will beat them at home. I'm going for a 2-1 Bayern.
I'm going for 1-1 or 1-0 draw.
Okay, and
Leipzig is one of the few teams in the Bundesliga which can genuinely compete with Bayern for 90 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about the Giovanni Fischer's really. Okay, and the weekend thrillers, we have Villa versus Man City.
Now, Man City, poor Pep, he can't catch it there. He can't catch it. He's in a bad spell. I think it's what, 1 out of 10?
Yeah.
1 win out of last 10. And then you have to go to Villa Park.
Yeah.
Where they've got a sound manager with great tactics, and I've got a very competitive team that can be physical, but that has pace and has also got technical ability and goals. They've got goals in there, Aston Villa. So it's a tough one for City. But I think somehow Pep is going to pull this one off. Finally, City are going to win a ball game.
Man City's been a dry season.
Another 2-1 there, I'm seeing. By the way, and they're also up against one of the best goalkeepers in the world. So, Emiliano Martinez. It's a tough one.
That was all the makings of a stalemate. I can't see Villa winning that one. I can't see City losing any more games. Because Villa lost the game against Forest, a very thrilling game, which they lost at the death. I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
Okay.
1-1 still at Villa Park.
Then how about when it comes to Barca and Atletico?
Now that's a tough one, and I think that's away. Barcelona are away to Atletico. They
were beaten by the Gunners.
They were beaten by the Gunners this weekend, and they've allowed Atletico and Real Madrid back in there. Actually, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid both have a game in hand on Barcelona, and they're 2 points behind, which means that if they won their games, they would actually overtake Barcelona.
Actually, the form team in La Liga is Atletico Madrid.
Atletico, they've been playing well, yeah. Alexander Soloff, the Norwegian, is scoring goals, and so is Julian Alvarez, the man they got from Man City. It's not going to be easy, but this is the one that I see as a stalemate. I've not called a draw. Okay, well, I called the Spurs United one a draw as well, and I think this one is going to be a draw between Barcelona and Atletico.
Wow. for Baka Atletico. Never had this game to call. Baka were poor. They were guilty of missing so many chances against like
Ruben Lewandowski missed perhaps a hat-trick of shots. Absolutely not right. But it was heroic goalkeeping from the Ghana.
It's a combination. I mean, when Baka failed to score a goal, it's a combination of heroic goalkeeping and some uncharacteristic bad finishing from Lewandowski. I'm going to go for hard 2-1 victory for Barcelona.
Good. All right, Spurs Liverpool.
Spurs Liverpool is the weekend game. That's Sunday. Spurs will have come off a very big game against Man United midweek. Liverpool will have played a day earlier against Southampton.
Actually, by the time Liverpool plays Spurs, Chelsea could be top of the table.
Top of the table.
Yeah.
Now that's going to put a lot of pressure. Pile a lot of pressure on Liverpool. But they still have their game in hand. They didn't play the Merseyside derby against Everton. That was postponed because of the weather. So they still have a bit of leeway there. But those are not points in the bag. A game in hand is not points in the bag.
Especially when it's a derby.
It's a derby, and can we put the fixture list might go against you and
Can we put around the time when they're playing
Champions League quarterfinals and things like that. But anyway, I'm going for another draw here. I'm going for Spurs and Liverpool to draw in London at the weekend. A 1-1 or a 2-2.
Finally, I agree with Mark. I'll go for a 2-2 in this one. A 2-2 stalemate between Spurs and Liverpool.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. For another fun-filled session of sports banter and breakdowns. Please take time off and like, subscribe, throw your comments down below, and keep watching. I've been your host, the Pearly Rose, and this has been Mark to Mark. Same time next time. Don't miss it.